14. Oh, verse 33. 33. And it's really short, so you got to catch it. Who's there? There. Everybody there?
Yeah.
No? I see a big no. Okay, I guess you're there now. It says, at noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. And to give a little context, Jesus was on the cross at this time. And it says, at noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. First of all, what is noon? Quick question. Simple question. What is noon? That is the day, right? Yeah, that's the day, right? Right? So that's where the sun is out, right? Okay. Wow. Come on, guys. The sun is out, right? So there's absolutely no reason for it to be dark at noon. Right. That is just like, right? Unless we live in like Alaska or like Siberia or something. Right. So, but it says at noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. And this kind of got me thinking. Sometimes in our life, this darkness comes into our life out of nowhere. These struggles come into our life out of nowhere. This hardship comes into our life out of nowhere. And there's different kinds of hardships. Some people it may be hardships with work. Some may be with friends. For some, it just may be spiritual problems. Like you're trying to pray and you just can't get through to God. It seems like you're praying and nothing is there but air. You're just praying to a wall and nothing is there. And I kind of want to focus on this subject tonight. So let's turn to Psalm 143 to get a little bit more context. Psalm 143. Psalm 143. Starting at verse 6. And I was reading this last night. Who read soap was supposed to read this last night. Yeah? I hear like 6 whoops. One big no whoop in the front. Calling you out, man. You call us out, we call you out now.
I'm just behind.
Oh, behind. Excuses coming up. Now, verse 6. It says, verse 6, I believe it says, I lift my hands to you in prayer. I thirst for you as parched land thirsts for rain. Come quickly, Lord, and answer me, for my depression deepens. Who knows what parched land is? It's like dry, super dry land. It's literally cracking like sand. It's so dry that it's like cracking. That's sometimes how our spirit is. It's so dry that it's cracking. And it's like you're asking the Lord to come, but it's like he's not coming. And it's like, why? Well, sometimes there's this darkness that comes over us. And I want to say that when this comes, we have to continue to seek God and continue to cry out to God and continue to have faith in him. No matter how long the darkness may be. For some it may be a week, a month, a year, years. But we have to continue seeking out. And in time of darkness, we have to continue seeking out. You know who went through this? Very faithfully, who went through this? Jesus. If you'll see in Matthew, turn to Matthew 26. You'll see in Matthew. Like I always read through this verse, this like little story. Just always read through it, never really stopped to think about it. But it's really, really powerful. 26, 36. And it says, Jesus went with them to the olive grove called Gethsemane. And he said, sit here while I go over there to pray. He took Peter and Zebedee's 2 sons, James and John, and he became anguished and distressed. Jesus became anguished and distressed. He told them, my soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Jesus was troubled. He knew that what was coming like in front of him. He knew he had to die on the cross and take the world's sins on his shoulder. He knew it. And it says that he was distressed and anguished. And it says he went on a little farther and bowed with his face to the ground praying, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me. What? He said, if it is possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me. There is only one person that could ever come to save us, and that is Jesus. And he is asking God if he can take this cup of suffering away from him. See, he went through a struggle too. But look how faithfully he answered right after. He says, yet I want your will to be done and not mine. Amen. But check this out. He comes back to them, comes back to the disciple, and he says, hey, Peter, couldn't you watch for me even with 1 hour? Keep watch and pray so you will not give into temptation. For the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. And then check this one out. Jesus left for a second time and prayed, my Father, if this cup cannot be taken away unless I drink it, your will be done. So again, he comes and literally prays the same prayer again. And then that's where it comes back to the testing of faith. I believe Jesus was tested here too. It says he came again a second time. Yeah. So was his first prayer, maybe it wasn't answered. Maybe he didn't know. He needed to come a second time. So when we're going through struggles in our life, we have to continue to pray. If our first one's not answered, we come again. Yes. We continue coming until it is answered. So he went back again. He found them sleeping again, for they couldn't keep their eyes open. And guess what? He went to pray a third time. Jesus went to pray 3 times, saying the same things again, for the same exact thing. Why do you have to go 3 times? Because we have to continue seeking God constantly when we're in darkness. Yeah. Jesus was anguished at this time. He was distressed. And what does he do during that time? He seeks God. He continues to seek God over and over, 3 times. I believe what lies ahead really troubled him. Really troubled him. Wouldn't it trouble you if you knew you were going to go die? He was just like us. He felt pain, but it wasn't, I think, the pain that got him the most. It was that he had to take sin onto his shoulders and the separation from God that he had to endure. But he faithfully understood what he had to do, and he did it. And this is one of the most amazing passages that I've read in a while. It just hit me so hard. How it was just a prime example there, and I never even looked at it like that. How we have to continue to faithfully go and cry out to God. No matter what the struggle might be. If we're bottom deep, we're hitting a bottom pit, and it seems like there's no way out, that is like the most bottom of the bottom right there. You're going to die. And yet, he went to God. He went to God faithfully. Look at another story that happened. Look at Joseph. Do you guys know what happened to Joseph? It's a very famous story, but I'm going to say it again really quickly. Joseph had a dream that his brothers are going to bow down to him. And he faithfully, God told him, he told the dream to his father, and the brothers heard it, and they got very mad at him. So eventually, to shorten it up, they sold him to slavery in Egypt. Joseph did nothing wrong. He got a dream from God, and his brothers sold him to slavery. If that happened to me, I'd be like, okay, I'm not saying anything anymore. I'm keeping everything to myself. Seriously, I'm in jail right now for doing nothing. So, okay, let's see what else happens to him. After that, he rises up a little bit. Some hope comes into his life. He becomes the house, I don't know how to say it, the manager of the house or the head of the house of Potiphar. And then what happens? Again, Potiphar's wife comes and asks him to sleep with him. Or she doesn't ask him, she kind of forces him. And he goes, heck no. No way. And he runs away. So he did good, right? Faithful, right? So what happens to him? A blessing, right, for being faithful. No. The opposite happened. Potiphar's wife blames him and accuses him of trying to force him to have sex with her. And what happens with him? He gets thrown into jail for life for that. 0 for 2, he just swung out. For nothing. He was being faithful both times, and now he's even worse, stuck in a prison for life. Wouldn't you give up by then? I know I would give up. I would be like, okay, man, what is going on right now? What is going on? Where am I right now? But no, he faithfully stayed with God and followed God. And what did he do? I think he ended up saving all of Egypt because of the drought that came, or Israel. What about another story? No one really knows this one that much. It's not that popular. What about Jacob? Comes to the land of his uncle, and he sees this beautiful girl, Rachel. He's like, oh, I'm going to marry her. She is beautiful. And he's like, okay, you got to work 7 years for me. And he faithfully says, okay, I'll work 7 years for her. So he works 7 years. 7 years goes by. And the father, his uncle, gives him the older one, Leah. He's like, I don't want her. I want the other one. What happened to your promise? I just worked 7 years for you. That's like a third of my life almost. Like 7 years, he just worked for a girl. And he gets another one. I'm like, what? Like, if I was him, I would faithfully rip him to shreds. Not faithfully go and do another 7 years. Then he does another 7 years for Rachel. So he spends 14 years for a girl. It's 14 years, but he did it faithfully. He didn't just like get enraged, but he faithfully understood that it was his thing and he had to do it. See, it is possible to endure and pray and to withstand through this darkness that everyone has. Everyone goes through a darkness in their life. Everyone goes through a darkness. But you have to take action when you do it. You have to take action. You have to seek God. You have to faithfully seek God. Jesus looked after God, looked for God. Joseph looked after God. I believe Jacob looked after God at this time. We have to seek God. You can't just talk. Talk is cheap. I know this myself firsthand. It is possible to do it faithfully. It might be harder, but it is possible. And it is the blessed way to do it. Talk is cheap. I kind of want to stop on that for a second. How much we can talk right now, at this moment right now, that, oh, when trouble comes into my life, I am going to smash it right back into place. It's not going to hit me. I'm going to faithfully seek God. When something happens to me, I'm just going to get on my knees and pray. I'm going to live with Jesus. I'm going to die with Jesus to the grave. Does that sound familiar with anybody? Who else said that? I believe Peter also said that. Peter said that in Matthew 26:35. It says, no, Peter insisted, even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you. And all the other disciples vowed the same. And what happens literally in like the next 24 hours? He denies him 3 times. He denies Jesus 3 times. Not like a year passed by. Literally like a couple hours passed by. Yeah. Talk is all cheap. We have to go with actions. You have to seek God. You can't just think you're going to seek God. It's like thinking about going to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. And tomorrow is tomorrow. And tomorrow is tomorrow. Same thing with the Bible. I remember I come into my room sometimes and I got this really soft Tempur-Pedic bed. I'm just laying and like sink in. And my remote is like right here for my TV. And my Bible's right here. And it's like, tomorrow. Boom, ESPN. Instant pleasure. Tomorrow, the Bible can wait. The Bible will always be there. My news change every day. No. You have to do it now. And I remember in my school, I had this really annoying 4th grade teacher. She had this really raspy voice. But she was the coolest teacher ever, but her voice we could not stand in class. And she loved to read. And we would get like these like reading times, and she would call them SSR. Super silent reading. children, super silent reading time. Like, when we heard that, we would like shake, not from reading, but from her like saying that, because she would repeat it like 50 times until every single student is sitting there and reading. She would repeat it. So we'd just be like, stop saying it, we'll read, just stop saying it. I remember that. And I will always remember that SSR. Like, whenever I have to read, it's SSR. Like, I just remember her voice in my head. Well, I kind of want to say something for you guys here. When something's troubling you, when there's darkness in your life, when something's going on, just remember this, SSR. Sit down, shut it, and read. Just sit down, shut it, and read. What are you going to say to that? Sit down, shut it, and read. But Christian, listen, you don't understand my situation. You don't understand what I'm going through with my family right now. Look, I don't want to read right now. Look, I know God. I know who God is. God is in my life. I know Christian, but I just don't want to read right now. You don't understand. My mom left us. I don't got no money right now. I can't eat. I'm struggling right now, Christian. You think I want to read? Okay, well then what's going to help you get out of this? Well, God, of course. Okay, well then how are you going to you have to get to know God first, right? For him to save you, for him to help you out, for him to dig you out of your mud, right? Yeah, Christian, yeah. Okay, well then sit down, shut it, and read. This is how you're going to get to know your God. You're not going to wake up one day and just be like, boom, I know everything. That's what I always thought one day. I'm just going to like, when I was like 12, I was like, why am I going to read? I'm just going to like wake up one day when I'm 20, I'm just going to know everything. How does my dad ever know everything? How does my grandpa know everything? It just kind of clicks one day. No, it does not click one day. You have to read this thing. So sit down, shut it, and read. But Alex, you don't understand. I'm broke right now. You don't understand. I got no money right now. I can't even pay gas. I got to pay for my car. I got to pay for my insurance. I got to pay for this. I got to pay for this. I got to pay for Starbucks. I got to pay for everything. I don't got time to read this book right now, dude. I don't got time. I got to go to work. We just going to work the rest of your life? No, I'm trusting in God. God's going to get me through this. Oh, really? Do you know your God? What do you mean? Of course I know my God. Do you read the book? No. Well, then sit down, shut it, and read. You guys, that's going to be like formulating in your minds today when you leave. I'm going to say it like 10 more times. Sit down, shut it, and read. Everybody wants to get closer to God, but no one wants to sit down and read. That's the only way. Were you guys listening at camp? Sit down and read. Andre had a whole sermon about reading, about the knowledge of God. This is what's going to get you through life. This is how you know who your God is and what you're even serving. Talk is all cheap. You got to do actions. Sure, I mean, you can ask people for prayer. That's wonderful. Hey, I'm struggling in this area. Can you pray for me? Yeah. I'm struggling in this area. Yeah. But I hate it when people always bob to me their problems over and over. It's like every single day. It's like a cycle. It's like, do this for now. I got this. I got this. Yeah. And he just keeps on going and going and going. I was like, are you praying about it? Well, no. Why are you telling me? What am I, like a God? Why are you telling me? Pray. Read down. SSR. Sit down, shut up, and read. It is possible. Everything is possible. Joseph did it. Jacob did it. Jesus did it. You can do it too. I have one thing. What makes you different from them? What makes you different from Joseph? Nothing. Maybe Jesus, right? Just a little bit, right? But what makes you different from Jacob? Nothing. Nothing. So then why can he do it? Why wouldn't you be able to do it? You can do it. Open to Deuteronomy 31. Deuteronomy 31. 31:5. Number 6, actually. It says, so be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them. For the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. He says, He will neither fail you nor abandon you. He will never abandon you. No matter how dark it is in your life right now, or maybe how dark it may be in your life in the future, God will never abandon you. He will always be there for you. It doesn't matter what you're struggling with. Maybe you don't got a job right now. Maybe you're struggling with what your career is going to be. Maybe you're struggling, I don't know. Everybody has their own struggles. I know I got mine, and I know you got yours. Remember, your God will never abandon you, but you got to get to know Him. You got to get to know Him. It's not just going to zap like this. You got to sit down, shut up, and read. You got to sit down, shut up, and read. I want you guys to say it with me. We'll say shut it. Sit down, shut up, and read. Okay, just don't say that at home. Say something nicer, like sit down, butejo, and read. That'll be better. Amen.